Everything you need to know about products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on CL 650.
Let's go down to the waterline. Come on.
Waterline, Dire Straits, nicely done, Dwayne. I like that one. We've got a little theme going here. It was fascinating. The first segment, that was really interesting about the water management and how you can put minerals in to get rid of these pinhole leaks. That's really interesting stuff. So today on StrataLife, we have Drew Grout from Key Pacific Property Management, Dave Humphreys, Operations Manager. Don't worry, Dave, you're going to get on the show.
It's okay. I'm patient.
Yeah, you're probably learning something along the way here. You're from Remdahl Paint and Restoration, and Richard Laub, President of High Tech Water Management. Now, Drew, this segment's kind of your focus, but you guys jump in if you like. So with a newly built strata building, they typically come with a warranty, right? You see that, and that was one of the things that came out of this whole leaky condo mess 15, 20 years ago now. Is it that long? So wasn't that one of the things that sort of evolved, was the warranty?
Yes, well, warranties have been around for even before the leaky condo.
It seemed to be more in the forefront, though. We heard more about it.
It certainly is. Now there's a requirement to provide this sort of protection. And they typically provide 2, 5, and 10-year warranties, 2 years on materials and labor, 5 years on envelope issues, and 10 years on structural.
So what's mandated? What does the builder have to provide?
2, 5, and 10.
Right, okay. And can you buy more?
Well, the developer will often throw in a year or 15 months of additional coverage at the beginning. Mm-hmm. But typically, they're the ones who are buying this. It's not the Strata Corporation who's buying this insurance. They're the ones who are protected by it. So if there were issues involving it, then you would deal with the developer, and you would also notify new home warranty. So the process is identify the issues right from the beginning at each stage, if there are some, provide the information to the developer and to new home warranty. New home warranty will advise all the parties of receipt of the information, and they'll look to the developer to deal with the issue.
Mm-hmm. And what if they don't?
If they don't, then they step in, and if it's a warrantable item, they'll deal with the.
Because we've heard these stories of property development company 1, 2, 3, and then next year they become property development company 2, 3, 4. So they flipping and folding, and we've heard this when the whole leaky condo thing came out, that these companies are moving their assets around from one company to the next. So how do you go and make sure that they're going to honor that? Yeah,
the 2, 5, and 10 is in place.
Right.
They purchase it.
Right. So that's a product that they buy.
Yes, and it's going to run with that strata.
Right. So even if that development company is gone, that's already been paid for.
Yeah, that poses a potential problem for trying to get the developer to deal with things, but the insurance is still there, and that's what it is insurance.
So let's go through the 2, 5, and 10. 2 covers what?
Materials and labor in the first couple of years, defects in materials and labor.
So if you bought a unit and all of a sudden, the drywall is cracking and something.
Flashings coming off, sidings lifting off, decking is lifting, things of that nature.
The railing is loose, those sorts of things. So that's your 2-year. 5-year is?
Is dealing with envelope issues. Anything that would protect the building from water penetration.
Right, and 10?
And 10 would be structural foundations, structural
cracks
walls.
In the underground parkade, stuff like that.
Yeah, that could be it too. Depending on when they start too, they may be covered on the earlier warranties.
Now, what's your advice as a manager of buildings about these warranties? What do you typically tell strata councils?
Well, one thing is really key, that if you're going to take advantage of the warranty, you need to provide the information to the new home warranty company within the time frame. Mm-hmm. If you are 1 minute late.
Oh, really? There's no grace period.
No. So if you're supposed to get into them by midnight on Monday, and you get in at 12:05, you're out of warranty. I mean, you may not be out of warranty, but you've gone beyond the period in which you can make a claim.
So document things and be timely with the way you deal with them.
Be conscious of the times of the expiration. Now, it's an interesting thing that the timing of the start of the insurance differs depending on the number of buildings. So to give you an idea, you have a strata with 5 buildings, townhome complex, or even three high rises. The clock starts ticking on all of the common property on the conveyance of the first unit.
Oh, so the second or third tower might not be finished for a year or so?
Well, the common property I'm talking about is now the Strata's general common property, the
Right.
grounds, the fence, all those, landscaping things aren't generally covered. But so that's when the clock starts ticking as a whole. Now, each building has its own common property, whether it be hallways or whether it be the exterior of the building, and that starts ticking on the first conveyance of a unit in that building.
Right.
So with 5 buildings on a strata, you can have 5 different dates where these 2, 5, and 10s begin. So it's important to track that.
Right.
It's very easy to miss cutoffs for later buildings, thinking that you're operating on the cutoffs for an earlier building. So you got to pay attention to that.
All right. Now we've talked about what are the P's again with stratas?
The 4 P's.
The 4 P's.
Pools, pets, parking, and people.
And it's not always in that order.
No.
So you have these different groups inside stratas. There's always sort of somebody that's the busybody on the strata and keeps their nose in everyone's business. Difficulty dealing with people, the difficulty dealing with complaints. What suggestions do you have for strata councils where you have issues? Because you're dealing with different personalities.
Yeah.
You might have somebody that's
the people side of
so
things.
straight-laced, he wants everything done by the rules, and you got somebody that doesn't want it that way.
Yeah, and that's always a challenge. It's a challenge for property managers. It's a challenge for council members. I say to people often that there are two ingredients that are really important to live in a strata. One is tolerance, one is consideration. If you don't have a healthy measure of each, you should ask yourself, is this the life for me? You need to be considerate of the other people around you and how you might be impacting them, but you also have to be tolerant about other people's lifestyles.
That's true, but you just need the one guy who isn't.
That's right.
And that's the thorn in or that's the stone in everyone's shoe, right?
Yeah. So when it comes to strata councils having to deal with that, it's important for them that they try and remain impartial. They look to the application of the bylaws, because that's what they're mandated.
That's their roadmap, right?
Yeah. If the bylaw says you can't do this, then that's something that they can have some say on. So it's important that they go to the application of bylaws. And when they're dealing with a potential infraction or alleged infraction, it's important they follow some of the processes that are needed to allow them to deal more firmly with it. If things aren't corrected. Even when you have that, you'll still have some owners. We've referred to some of these little groups as shadow councils. It's like the conservatives and the liberals. Whatever you're doing, we're against.
You have your own super PAC. That's the new one in the U.S. The super PAC. So okay, now as the property management, do you ever get called in to be kind of referee?
Yeah, we do, but we got to be careful of that too. There's a process in most bylaws for owners to deal with issues among themselves.
But you can just point those out, like they may be not realizing.
That's correct. And recently I've had to do just that, where it's been an ongoing thing between 2 particular owners, and it's off and on. And it becomes a question: is the other person just intolerant? Are they too sensitive? Is the other person inconsiderate? It's hard to measure that sometimes, and so there are vehicles in place where the owners can arrange amongst themselves to have somebody mediate for them. We typically try not to get involved with that, and there's no requirement for a council member to be involved, but there are times when we do, because we might be able to help bring some closure to it quickly. But I certainly don't necessarily recommend that, but there are those processes in place, and certainly the CRT Council to Owners is going to play a role in the years to come with that new tribunal happening.
All right, we've got an email question here from Fran. It says, our complex will be undergoing a roof replacement in the very near future. Many owners are not pleased with the company to which the council has awarded the contract. So I guess you got to show up to the meetings. That's one thing.
Yep.
So that's typically what happens with these councilors. There's a few people that are involved, and a lot of people that are just going about their day and they don't really care too much about it. But so what kind of input do people have on who gets the contract?
Well, in this particular case, the contract looks like it's already awarded, so you're hard pressed to make a change.
Right.
The Act, Section 4 of the Act, basically says that the duties of the Strata Corporation are dealt with through the Strata Council. Section 38 says the Strata Corporation can enter into contracts and join associations. So it basically says the council can do these things. Certainly, if you're talking about a major issue, roof replacement, and you're at a general meeting talking about it, and you may be talking about the various people who have been invited to bid on it, there may be the opportunity for the owners at that meeting to give direction to the council.
And you might have an issue where somebody's cousin is bidding on it, right? Like you have those situations. Well, my cousin Larry, he's a roofer. You know, you get that sort of stuff happen.
Yeah, and you know, if depending on the situation, he can be invited to bid as well. It's important though when you're dealing with somebody on council or somebody who's an owner who might be involved in bidding on a project, that there's full disclosure as to who's involved and to what capacity. So an owner, if you're an owner in your strata and you happen to be a roofer or have a roofing company, then you know there's no reason why your company can't do the work. It's important for everybody to know the relationship there.
And then you can say, I'll give a discount because I...
Well...
You can't do that?
You can, but you know it's important that all of the bidders be treated fairly, right? Yeah. So if you're an owner and you've had a meeting with other owners and councils and they've talked about the prices from the other bidders, and you know I'm not going to be keen on having you quote because that's not fair to the other guys.
That's true.
You know their price.
All right, here we are heading into summer. You wouldn't know it because it's felt like summer for the last 2 months. So what are the must-dos now for buildings as we head into this time of year? Well,
I think as it relates to people interacting and complaining about each other, I think it's important to note that with summer, a lot more people are going to be outdoors. They're going to be out in their balconies, on their decks, on their patios, and people are going to be sleeping at night with their windows open. Noise travels really, really easily at night. You can have somebody on their deck and you know 25 yards, 50 yards away, somebody can be sleeping in their bedroom with the window open. They can hear every word you're saying as if you're in their bedroom. So I was saying before about tolerance
all the
and
gossip, yeah.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing what can
you believe that Mary on the second floor?
Oh yeah,
you must get all of that.
Yeah, so you got to be careful not to be too loud because other people are going to be hearing it. You have to, a family-oriented place. Watch for kids; they're out running around.
Well, the thing is that there seems to be a whole other level of intolerance around children. Kids are kids. Kids
Definitely.
are going to make noise. They're going to run around. But there's some people that just don't want anything to do with them. Right?
Yeah. I'm aware of a situation where we had a family-oriented complex, and this person bought the end unit right beside the playground.
Nice.
And then they proceeded to complain relentlessly about the kids running around, making noise, running by their backyard.
Well, it's the same thing I say to people, oh, you bought a house in Richmond at the end of the runway. Oh, surprise, planes land there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
Yeah.
I used to live in Toronto when I was a kid near a racetrack, a thoroughbred racing track, right, where they had horses, and then people would complain that people would come and park on their street. It was like that had been there for 150 years before your house was built, and now you're complaining about it.
But with the kids, the other thing that's important is that parents need to mind their kids.
Yeah.
You don't want to be complained about. Then don't let your kids run through all the garden areas, create damage.
Yeah.
Create a nuisance.
Common sense.
Yeah.
All right, we're just getting started. This is StrataLife, and when we pick it up next, we're going to hear from our other guest talking about restoration and paint when we continue on StrataLife here on CL 650.
This is Experts on Call on CL 650.